Coming up on Valley View News, an Angel Fund helps undocumented CSUN students with their finances. Plus, multiple Omicron virus cases have been reported in California. And a San Fernando Valley toy drive supports the Native American community.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Mary Pronian.
And I'm Jeannie Rodriguez in the Digital Media Center.
Public health officials said the first 5 COVID-19 Omicron cases were discovered in Alameda County. The individuals have mild symptoms. They're between the ages of 18 and 49. All are reportedly vaccinated. These cases are part of 12 other Omicron cases from the same area. They were linked to a November wedding in Wisconsin. One patient attended the wedding after traveling abroad. State officials said a lab using genomic sequencing confirmed the 5 Omicron cases. Testing wasn't available for the rest of those affected. CSUN students and staff react to the discovery of the variant in the U.S. as well as the possible idea of another shutdown.
Opinion, because we just not even finished with COVID, and then, sooner or later they're discovering other one, right?
It just depends how many people take the necessary precautions.
California was one of the first states to report the discovery of the new variant. However, a shutdown doesn't seem to be on the horizon. As of now, none of the individuals have been hospitalized.
The Los Angeles chapter of Planned Parenthood was hit with the ransomware attack. Access to data for 400,000 patients was locked. Investigators don't think the information will be used for fraudulent purposes. The hackers locked Planned Parenthood out of its own website. Some believe the attack may be related to abortion cases being considered by Supreme Court. This isn't the first time hackers targeted Planned Parenthood. Reports confirm that attacks happened in 2015 and 2020.
A special fund has been set up to assist undocumented CSUN students. It's called the Change Reaction and was created by the Angel Fund. Catherine Hernandez explains more.
The nonprofit group called the Change Reaction created an Angel Fund to financially help undocumented CSUN students. It donated $150,000 to CSUN's Dream Center. The money will cover the costs of renewing a DACA status with the federal government,
which could alleviate a lot of financial burdens, right? So they can spend that money on books, on rent, and all that sort. So this was a really big support from the Angel Fund.
So you can just
The donation will be spread in 3 payments of $50,000 each. Each payment will help at least 300 students. As many as 1,200 undocumented CSUN students could get help. CSUN Vice President Rafael de la Rosa says many DACA students need help. Plenty work, 2 jobs while attending school full-time.
They're going through so much. They came here, many of them as small children, no fault of their own. They're living in a country that this is the only country they've ever known.
CSUN student Jesus Villegas got Angel Fund dollars. He says he and other CSUN DACA students appreciate the organizations and people who are supporting them and letting their voices be heard.
It's because of them and their fearlessness that things get done, that our present is acknowledged.
The Dream Center at CSUN will continue applying for more grants to further help DACA students. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Catherine Hernandez.
A key piece of body cam evidence is being presented in the murder trial of Minneapolis police officer Kimberly Potter. Potter shot and killed a 20-year-old African-American man named Dante Wright. The body cam shows her reaching for her gun and shooting Wright. She claims she mistook her firearm for a stun gun. In some shooting cases, video has changed the direction of a trial. Video evidence helped convict Derek Chauvin for the murder of George Floyd. And video was also instrumental in last month's conviction of 3 men who murdered Ahmaud Arbery. If convicted, Potter will face up to 10 years in prison.
Former Republican Senator Bob Dole died in his sleep at age 98 last Sunday. He was a former presidential candidate in 1996. Dole said earlier this year that he was getting treatment for advanced lung cancer. President Biden visited him shortly after the diagnosis. Other major political leaders like Nancy Pelosi commented on Dole's passing.
For our country, it was a tremendous loss to lose Bob Dole.
Biden ordered White House flags and flags at other public buildings to fly at half-staff in honor of him. Dole was critically injured during World War II. He spent a total of 90 months in hospitals recovering from his injuries. He's survived by his wife, former Senator Elizabeth Dole, and daughter Robin Dole.
CNN primetime anchor Chris Cuomo was suspended last week for conflict of interest involving his brother Andrew Cuomo, the New York governor. He was then fired as sexual misconduct allegations rose against him. Attorney Deborah Katz said her client reported the allegations to CNN and offered to provide documentation. Chris Cuomo issued a statement denying the allegations. CNN only said it fired Cuomo after new information came to light.
Ghislaine Maxwell's trial started in Manhattan last week. She's accused of recruiting girls to participate in sexual abuse with Jeffrey Epstein, who died in jail in 2019. The trial will determine whether she's guilty of several felony charges, which includes trafficking of minors. 4 accusers who are now adults are expected to testify. The first women who went by the alias name Jane took the stand on Tuesday. As of now, mentions of Maxwell have been absent during the defense. Her team's strategy appears to be trying to keep it that way. The trial will last about 6 weeks.
White nationalist hate group Patriot Front marched through Washington, D.C. last weekend. Videos from marchers and onlookers showed masked men marching to the beat of a snare drum. Marchers carried shields and American flags while bearing the Patriot Front logo. A large banner at the front of the parade read, "Reclaim America." They evolved out of a group called Vanguard America. It broke up in 2017 after one member used his car to kill a counter-protester during the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
The parents of Ethan Crumbley, the 15-year-old accused of killing 4 classmates last week, are now in custody.
James Crumbley is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Jennifer Crumbley is also charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter.
James and Jennifer Crumbley failed to appear at their arraignment hearing Friday. That led police to launch a manhunt for them. They were finally arrested in the Detroit building after being cited by a member of the public. Police say that the couple appeared to have help getting into the building. After a lot of speculation, 65-year-old Anjay Sikora identified himself throughout his attorney as the men who helped the Crumbleys. Sikora said he knew that they were using his workspace, but claims that he didn't know they had an active warrant until they were discovered.
President Biden will be restarting a Trump-era policy with Mexico this week. It entails that migrants remain across the border until their U.S. court date. In addition, the policy has expanded to include migrants from all countries in the Western Hemisphere. Trump limited it to Spanish-speaking countries. The first migrants will be sent from El Paso, Texas to Ciudad Juarez. Officials say there will be a 50-person per day cap. This news comes despite the Biden administration's attempt to end the policy in a way that will be acceptable from a legal standpoint. The president removed the policy, but a lawsuit by Texas and Missouri caused him to put the policy in effect once more. Former President Donald Trump initially enacted the policy in 2019 amid a massive Central American migration. As a result, more than 70,000 migrants have been returned to Mexico over the last 4 years.
The Biden administration on Monday said it won't be sending an official U.S. delegation to the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing, China. The administration said the boycott was due to the host country's policies.
The Biden administration will not send any diplomatic or official representation to the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and Paralympic Games, given the PRC's ongoing genocide and crimes against humanity in Xinjiang.
The decision demonstrates the ever-growing tensions between Washington and Beijing. The U.S. traditionally sends high-profile dignitaries who are followed by the vice president or the first lady to attend the events. It's not clear whether any U.S. allies will follow in the White House's footsteps, but countries like Canada and the U.K. are considering it. This isn't the first time that the U.S. used the Olympic Games to object to a host country's policies. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter boycotted the Moscow Olympics after the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan.
Long Beach Latino residents are teaming up to create a Latino cultural center in their neighborhood. Valley View's Kimmy Chacon has more on the story.
Centro Cha is a nonprofit organization collaborating with other Latino organizations to create a Latino community center in Long Beach. Jessica Quintana says a cultural center will allow Latinos to have their own space of wellness and education. She says the center will provide various resources for her community, especially the elderly.
The importance of having a cultural center. Long Beach is almost 50% Latino in our community, but yet we don't have a designation.
Retired Professor Armando Vázquez Ramos is the founder of the California-Mexico Studies Center. He is also a contributor to the building of a Latino district in Long Beach.
Is to create an environment that is educational, is cultural, is an economic development location, and to create this marketplace environment.
So they have their hats.
Quintana says Centro Cha has created a healthy atmosphere that helps keep Latinos youths alive and motivated by providing a space to showcase their talents.
And of course, it's Long Beach Por Vida, and it's Long Beach for Life. And literally, the reason why we came up with that was to save the lives of our young people.
Centro Cha Executive Director Jessica Quintana is anticipating for the Latino Cultural Center to open its doors by next year. Reporting for Valley View News in Long Beach, I'm Kimmy Chacon.
More to come on Valley View News. Russia may invade Ukraine, according to the U.S. intelligence. And a rise in rent costs may put some businesses on OLVERA Street out of business. Stay with us.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know, wherever you are.
You made her college years possible, opening that education savings account when she was little, spearheading campus tours, and deciphering financial aid. If you can ace planning for college, you can do it for retirement. Get on track with tips at aceyourretirement.org.
Welcome back. Valley View's Margot Rowe has the latest updates on international news in Studio B. Margot?
Russian troops are increasing along the Ukraine border for what some fear could be an invasion within months. Meanwhile, presidential spokesperson Jen Psaki says the U.S. is monitoring the situation closely.
You can certainly expect that our concerns about the military activities on the border will be a prominent part of the discussion.
Western help includes erecting supply lines such as medical units and fuel that can sustain a drawn-out conflict if Moscow chooses to invade. The Russian buildup underscores U.S. officials' concerns over Ukraine. It's not certain if Russian President Vladimir Putin intends to invade or if he's playing a game of brinkmanship. Russia denies any plans to attack Ukraine, but has also demanded security guarantees from the West. The U.S. is considering what kind of military aid to send to Ukraine in the face of the Russian buildup. After hundreds of years of being a British colony, Barbados is now a republic. Queen Elizabeth II was removed from the head of state in a ceremony last week. This move broke the country's ties with the royal family as well as the last imperial bonds to the UK. The ceremony occurred 55 years after Barbados initially gained full independence but retained the monarch. Entertainer Rihanna was at the event and was declared a national hero by the Prime Minister. Queen Elizabeth's son, Prince Charles, also attended. The country's first president, Sandra Mason, was formerly the Queen's representative. The country will remain in the Commonwealth, a voluntary association that includes several former British colonies. 14 people are dead after a volcano eruption in Indonesia. Mount Semeru, located in East Java province, released a pyroclastic flow Saturday. The flow is a mix of ash, rock, and volcanic gas. It has covered villages in the area. These flows are considered more dangerous than the lava. 5 victims have yet to be identified. 9 people are reported missing. Local officials say 1,300 people have been displaced by the eruption. 33 schools have been damaged. The area is still under a high threat. Officials warn a new eruption could happen at any time. A Myanmar activist Aung San Suu Kyi faces 2 years in prison after her sentence was cut in half. The human rights activist and Democratic idol was initially sentenced to 4 years in prison. She faced charges of incitement and violating local COVID-19 mandates. The 76-year-old is known as Myanmar's civilian leader. Suu Kyi was a state councilor and a de facto leader of the country before she was detained by military forces 10 months ago. Nearly a dozen counts were filed against her in court. Suu Kyi has denied all allegations and charges. That's all for international news. I'm Margot Rowe in Studio B. Back to you, Mary.
A new word to describe the Latino community, Latinx, is gaining popularity. But how do Latinos feel about it? Valley View's Diane Zermenio explains.
The term Latinx has been adopted as a new non-binary identifier for some of the Latino community. Now many newsrooms and even the White House officials use the term. CSUN student Itzel Garcia-Cuamea says the drive for inclusivity is welcome, but Latinx, doesn't always work in Spanish.
When you talk about a group of people, you say they're Latinos, and it's already, people understand that you're talking about a general group of people. It could be women and men or whoever.
The word originated sometime in the mid-2000s in US-based activist circles. While it can be difficult to incorporate into the Spanish language, there are other options. For instance, Latine could include non-binary people. That term can be used throughout Latin America.
And that I haven't seen that much in the US, the use of the E at the end. But in Argentina, for example, that's the main one in terms of inclusive language.
Some Latinos say the word Latinx has been imposed on them by non-Latinos. They think it harms more than helps.
There's actual problems within the Hispanic communities, and just changing the name, saying like, oh, we're just being more inclusive with the diversity. It's just kind of like, okay, that doesn't, putting a name on a thing doesn't really like help the community.
A Pew Research Center analysis found that online searches for the term Latinx have increased since 2016, yet fall far behind Latino and Hispanic. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Diane Cermeño.
Meat supply and processing company Alexander & Hornung recalled more than 200,000 rounds of pork products. The Michigan-based supplier is taking back products due to a possible exposure to Listeria. The U.S. Department of Agriculture's Food Safety and Inspection Service confirmed the recall this week. Officials say no illnesses have been reported. The company's website says there is no evidence as to why their products were contaminated. An investigation is underway.
Del Taco, the second largest Mexican fast food chain in the U.S., is being bought by Jack in the Box. The deal is valued at roughly $575 million. The price for the burger chain will be $12.51 per share in cash. Jack in the Box CEO Darren Harris says the combined companies will benefit from a stronger financial model. The merged company will have more than 2,800 locations across 25 states. By the end of the fiscal year in 2023, the company predicts that it will receive over $15 million in benefits from the deal.
COVID-19 cases continue to surge in the U.S. 17 new cases were identified on a New Orleans cruise ship. The ship arrived in port Sunday, carrying 3,200 people. All crew members and passengers were fully vaccinated when the cases were detected. No one reported COVID-19-like symptoms. Anyone who tested positive will be required to travel home in a personal vehicle after isolation. They have an option to remain in self-isolation in spaces provided by the cruise line.
Dollar General plans to expand to new customers by adopting a new look and new name. The new stores meant for suburban communities is called Pop Shelf. There are currently 30 Pop Shelf stores after the idea was introduced last year. The company wants the stores to bring in new middle and upper class customers. Dollar General says its current demographic is mainly rural and low-income shoppers. They say Pop Shelf is designed for families in the suburbs with incomes ranging from $50,000 to $125,000 a year. Dollar General will open 1,000 new Pop Shelf stores in the next 4 years.
Video being shared online shows the CEO of an online mortgage company firing nearly 900 employees during a Zoom call. Better.com Vishal Garg fired everyone while at the desk and during a video recording. That video now has thousands of shares on social media. He says he made the decision himself. Better.com cut about 15% of the company's employees. Garg called the mass layoff really challenging. It's the second time in his career he's made such a decision. A Better.com statement says employees can expect an email from HR regarding benefits and severance.
Some businesses on Olvera Street have been family-run for decades. Now surviving the pandemic has been challenging for many. Valley View's Jonathan Giovanazzi spoke with shop owners who say an upcoming rent hike may put them out of business.
Tucked away in his shop on Olvera Street is Armando Murillo. He's a second-generation business owner continuing his family's work, making handcrafted leather products.
My parents started in the early 1970s, and it's basically tradition. For me, it's my life.
Murillo credits Olvera Street General Manager Arturo CHAVEZ for much of the street's success. Chavez acts as a property manager for each owner on the street. He says the city of LA has done its best to help businesses here survive the pandemic.
The new council member gave them another 40% of rent through December 31st of 2021.
40% of their pre-pandemic rent cost is what a majority of OLVERA street merchants currently pay. But for Murillo, it's a different story. His father bought a 55-year lease for his shop back in the 1990s. So Murillo's rent cost is fixed at a different price. He couldn't speak on OLVERA Street's upcoming rent hike. It doesn't affect him.
I don't want to touch on that.
But it does touch and affect Murillo's neighbor, Emily Martinez. She's a fourth-generation businesswoman on the street and is expected to pay 100% of her original rent by January 1st, 2022. She thinks the rent increase is coming too fast.
It's something that should be done on a very slow, gradual level. And I will fight as much as I can to influence whoever to at least keep it at 40%.
While businesses on OLVERA Street continue to serve Angelenos, they're hopeful that people from across the Southland will make their return to the spot LA was founded. Reporting from downtown, I'm Jonathan Giovanazzi.
When we come back, the LA Rams honor one of their former running backs, and Christmas trees may be hard to get this year due to supply chain shortages and extreme weather. We'll have more for you. Stay with us.
The Rams and their fans are mourning the death of running back Otis Anderson Jr. Anderson played for the team during the preseason. He died last week after being shot Monday night at his home in North Jacksonville, Florida. His father, Otis Anderson Sr., was charged with first-degree murder in Anderson's death and with the first-degree attempted murder of his wife, Denise Anderson. Anderson played in college at the University of Central Florida and signed with the Rams as an undrafted free agent. He returned punts and kickoffs in preseason games against the Chargers and Las Vegas Raiders. He was released as the Rams trimmed their roster to 53 players before the season. UCF said that in a statement that it was devastated by Anderson's death.
Dr. Mehmet Oz, the celebrity heart surgeon and host of TV's Dr. Oz Show, announced on Tuesday that he is running for Senate in Pennsylvania. Oz is looking to fill the open seat as a Republican. He will replace retiring Senator Pat Toomey. GOP senators say, though they are unfamiliar, Oz might be the best option to reclaim the Senate majority. Oz made his Senate bid official this week, where the celebrity released a campaign video that highlighted concerns about the coronavirus pandemic and promised to put America first.
Downtown LA has experienced its first November without rain for the first time in almost 30 years. November isn't normally a wet month for the area. However, it's unusual for there to be no precipitation at all. This hasn't happened since 1992, according to Weather Service data.
The Kentucky Derby's winning horse died of a heart attack on Monday. The horse had a failed drug test hours before competing in the race. Medina Spirit suffered a heart attack after a workout in Arcadia. 3-year-old Medina Spirit tested positive for an anti-inflammatory steroid soon after winning the Derby back in May. Officials say they will be performing a full necropsy by UC Davis School of Veterinary Medicine to determine the cause of death.
A San Fernando toy drive is dedicated to helping the Native American community. Our reporter Cynthia Puga has the story.
Annual toy drives are back for the holiday season. CSUN's American Indian Student Association is supporting PUKKU's annual toy drive dedicated to helping Native American communities.
PUKKU Cultural Community Service Program is a nonprofit organization created by the San Fernando Tataviam Band of Mission Indians. and they organize and run that.
The annual winter social gathering is PUKKU's way of maintaining their original connection to the native community. The gathering was founded 50 years ago by the Fernandeño Tataviam tribe. On Thursday, CSUN's AISA club accepted new packaged toys and gift cards between $15 to $25.
Put it back where you found it, okay?
Is it like so cool for someone else?
PUKKU will hand out the toys on the second week of December. Guests who donate toys valued at $10 or more will get a free mask. Volunteer Natalie Bodo says it's exciting to see kids' faces when they receive their gifts.
So we meet at Las Palmas, and we usually have one of our staff here in the office. Here, his brother will dress up as Santa, and they'll come out and read a story with the kids, and then they'll get their toys passed out to them.
PUKKU's winter social gathering will be happening on December 12th. Those who still want to donate a toy can do so by coming to San Fernando at the tribe administration. Reporting for Valley View News, I'm Cynthia Puga.
Spotify removed multiple albums from dozens of high-profile comedians. The streaming service wasn't willing to give the comedians the extra royalties they were asking for. Kevin Hart, Tiffany Haddish, and John Mulaney were some of the bigger names who had some of their comedy albums removed. Many comedians teamed up with an organization called Spoken Giants to demand additional pay for comedians' written jokes. Spoken Giants has reached out to YouTube, SiriusXM, Spotify, and Pandora. The goal is to have comedians get paid as composers and writers, not just as performers.
The Los Angeles Amundsen Theater is opening their doors in the spirit of Christmas. This week, for the first time in over 600 days, they are showing A Christmas Carol. The show will begin playing this week and run through January 1st. The theater will strictly follow all COVID-19 protocols. The Christmas Carol production asked the theater to pick a local group who could use some support. The Amundsen selected the South LA Cafe Community Foundation to give back to this season.
Extreme weather and chain supply disruptions have reduced supplies for both real and artificial trees this season. I went to Oliver Holt's sons and daughter's Christmas tree farm to talk to the owner's family about the tree shortage. Christmas tree prices continue to rise as supply chain issues and climate change are causing a tree shortage. Trucking expenses and labor are also factors. Keith Holt works with Oliver Holt's sons and daughter's tree farm.
Well, the supply chain has been more affected by weather and climate change, to be honest. And it's also limited because of fires from last year. So supply chain's been affected.
Tree buyers can expect to pay between 10% and 30% more for live trees this year. Despite shortages and climate struggles, this family-run tree farm says it's meeting the demands. Kimberly Mansfield is the owner's daughter.
It's my dad. He is all about family. He loves what he does, and so it makes us love it.
Oliver Holt's sons and daughter's Christmas tree farm started 65 years ago. Oliver Holt grew his own business from a small nursery. Mansfield says since real Christmas trees are in short supply, people should buy early. While many are trading traditions for artificial trees, Oliver Holt's sons and daughter's Christmas tree farm is committed to keeping their family tradition alive. Jeannie Rodriguez, Valley View News. That's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Jeannie Rodriguez.
And I'm Mary Pronian. For stories any time of the day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.